Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, me and Ayana are back at it to explain to you why you do not need to heal first before you can lose weight. I know a lot of you already know our journeys, but I'm going to share it for people who are watching this for the first time. I've had my 30-pound weight loss transformation, and Ayana has had her amazing transformation. Ayana, yes, has
50.
competed also in bikini bodybuilding shows. And the reason I always make sure you guys are aware is because I still to this day find that people are taking advice from others who have never had a weight loss transformation, or has never really struggled with their weight, or they have genes that make it very hard for them to gain weight in the first place. And so what works for them will never work for you. So this is why it's really important to understand who you're taking advice from in any area of life. So, hi, Ayana. Thank you so much for accepting my invite for today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling great. I'm not sick, so that's a plus.
Yay.
And yeah, I've had a productive morning so far, so I'm feeling good.
Awesome. I'm a little bit cold because I didn't get a chance to dry my hair, so I have a blanket. But we're running on like this is the last day before our LA trip, and it's like a crazy day. So, but I wanted to make sure we filmed this so that I can post it while on our trip. So this topic today is inspired by a comment from one of our followers at Lisa Lyons 5381. I pinned her comment. She commented on our last YouTube video that we did, which was about how recipes are keeping you fat and preventing easy weight loss. And this is what Lisa had to say. And I thought it was so interesting and I wanted to address it in this video. So she said, thanks for this. I started tracking on Carb Manager. I'm kind of livid asking people on channels what percentage of calories, fat, and protein, and keep getting the you don't need to track, you need to heal, so weight will come off later on like four main people's channels. So I'm assuming those are carnivore influencers or experts that she's been asking them, and they all pretty much say the same thing that you don't have to track, you don't have to worry, heal first. And then the weight
Yeah.
will just magically come off. We all know that doesn't happen.
Mm.
Oh, she said, I tried the sardines 3 day fast and kept wanting to vomit. Made me so ugh and sad. I lasted barely the 3 days. Okay, so let's unpack this comment and
Yes.
explain why no the way you heal is by losing weight. This is not to say like eat sugar and just count calories. No, you're just making it harder for yourself. But this idea that you are going to lose the weight just magically, it almost never happens. So, do you want to go ahead and start or?
Yeah, no, that's fine. And I agree 100%. And people still say that. It almost makes me wonder if they don't really know how to help people with that. And maybe that's why they say that. But also people take their own experience as well. And if they didn't have to, then why should you? So there's could be many reasons why, but the matter is you can't make progress if you don't know where you're at to begin with. And if you, even if you are tracking and you're well into your weight loss journey, you still have to pay attention to what you're eating because we all stall. Stalling is a part of weight loss because your body is going to reach a moment of homeostasis. So then, if you don't know what you're doing, how can you tweak it to keep it going downwards,
1000%.
right?
Exactly. I think, like you said, a lot of influencers haven't really gone through that process, right? And so they just assume it's as simple as just eat meat and it's the cure for everything. And so when
Yeah.
you don't actually have to go through that process, you don't know what you're up against because you never face those roadblocks along the way. And
Mhm.
so I have worked with hundreds of clients, right? And they all fall for that. Almost everybody. I don't know if I've ever had a client who hasn't tried, the priming challenges or like the 30-day carnivore challenge first to try and lose
Mhm.
weight. And then they're hit with the harsh realities. A lot of them gain weight. A lot of them don't lose any weight, but they don't gain weight. But I think the vast majority gains weight. And they think
Yeah.
that they believe this idea. And I interviewed animal-based Latina who was part of one, major group that was recommending priming. And she was like trying to guide people through that process as well. And because she was so in that world, she was thinking that it's going to work for her eventually and just be patient, be patient. She kept gaining and gaining and gaining weight. And she still, hasn't been able to lose that weight because of this terrible advice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
without tracking calories, it's great if you would need to do carnivore. I understand some people, they have to be very
Yeah.
strict with it, and that's fantastic, right? But just because you're doing strict carnivore does not mean you can't gain weight. You don't need a
Yeah.
lot of insulin to be pumped out in order for you to gain a lot of weight. And I keep talking about this case. It was just so shocking to me. A client I worked with, in 2 months, she gained 40 pounds on the just eat me, don't worry. 40 pounds in 2 months. She was tall, but still 40 pounds is an insane amount of weight. It took us a whole year for her to lose all that weight and get back to her ideal body weight. And and she
Wow.
didn't cheat once, and it took us a whole year.
See, and so here's the thing is that because I've been in those groups, and let me just say that I think there's a lot of good in that happens in those groups. It's just that I feel with some protocols is that they're wanting you to really check in with your body and to be like, okay, this is what really full feels like. All right. And then when it's time to fast, all right. So I'm not starving, but I also don't need to eat. So they want you to check in with yourself. The problem with that though is that when you have people who are metabolically adapted to whatever they're doing, they can't make that connection, a lot of them. So they have to physically track, get the mechanical part of it, and then hopefully the intuition can
Yes,
follow that. You know what I'm saying? They're not
1000%.
connected.
No. And it takes a very long time to find that connection, by the way. Also, there's the
Yeah,
baseline dopamine, right? Because of food addiction over a long period of time, you have downgraded and reduced your baseline dopamine and other neurotransmitters in your brain. It can take 2 years for your brain chemistry to return to normal after complete sobriety. So the moment you stop eating addictive foods, it'll take 2 years for the brain chemistry to get back to normal. Unless, of course, we've already talked a lot about how to raise baseline dopamine in my guide, Dopamine Brain,
yes,
to speed up that process so you don't wait like a sitting duck for 2 years in this vulnerable state. So,
right,
right, so
exactly.
you're not gonna have this connection to your hunger cues that easily. That's an advanced thing that you earn it, and eventually you get to a
Yes,
place where you might not need to track. But
exactly.
initially, almost nobody, like unless somebody had never really had binge eating, never really had addictive, they just ate whatever and it's like, ooh, carnivore, great. And like right away they lose weight. Like, those are in the minority. They exist, but they're so rare.
Mhm.
And people hold on to that. It's like, see, if usually it's men, it's like if he can do it, I can do it. It's like it doesn't work like
Right?
that.
Exactly. And then also, if you feast, um, uh, then you have to think if your goal is to lose weight, right? So when it's time to fast, then your fasting window has to be conducive to overall being in a deficit for that week.
Right.
So, the guy that you introduced me to on YouTube, I forgot his name, but anyways, he's like finally fasting. I love his channel. You got me
Jerome.
hooked,
Yes.
right? Yes,
I
love it.
try to get
Anyways,
him to an interview. He's like, I'm not doing collabs at the moment. I'm like, dude, I'll get you views. What are you thinking? So he hasn't
like,
answered
oh
my
my
email
God,
yet.
he should.
I
Oh,
should. I
don't leave
know.
him alone. Don't leave him alone.
No,
Anyways,
I'll
but my
pester him.
point is,
Yeah.
yes. So he'll do like a 65-hour fast. I don't know what he's doing right now, but anyways, he'll do like a 65-hour fast and then have his feast, sorry, 5, 6,000.
Yes.
But it's okay because right now I think he's maintaining or I don't know. But if you take those 2 or 3 feedings that he has a week, it still will put him in a deficit or maintenance, whatever he's doing. You
Yes,
get what I'm
yes,
saying? So
exactly.
that matters too. How long is the
Calories
fast?
matter.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yes, calories
exactly.
matter no matter how you do it.
Calories matter. So to answer Lisa, the comment we're trying to address, it's we can talk about macros, I guess, but I care more about the calories really. It's really about making sure you're tracking your caloric intake and your fasted daily scale weight and the amount of exercise you're doing, and if you're adding in steps, which falls into the exercise. So three major things you want to track: calories, daily fasted scale weight, and how many calories you're spending. And that is the gold standard. That is the only true way you can determine, are you at maintenance? Are you creating caloric deficit? Or are you in a surplus, depending on what the scale is saying over time, the trend that the scale is giving us. And
Yeah.
so it's not so much about the macros. It's really
No,
more about the calories.
it is. And I'll just add to that is that you and I both, we protein, some people, a lot of women, unfortunately, don't eat enough. So I like people to be like at least hitting a minimum amount of protein within that caloric
Yes.
range.
Especially
Yeah.
if you're not in ketosis. Because we've been talking, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're not testing your ketones and if you're unsure that you are in uninterrupted ketosis, so you're probably not in uninterrupted ketosis. So anytime you're not 1,000% in uninterrupted ketosis, then you really want to be careful with your protein. You want to make sure you're hitting 1.1 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Now, if we're doing it in a different way, if we're doing it in deep ketosis that is uninterrupted, I'm not as crazy about making sure you're hitting that protein every single day, because there's a lot of data that show us that you will preserve your muscle as long as you are in uninterrupted ketosis for a long period of time. You're not really going to lose a lot of muscle, especially if you don't keep kicking yourself out of it. It's like every time you kick yourself out of ketosis and then your body has to get back in, that's the vulnerable state you're in where you might lose some muscle.
Um,
You see?
okay, I
Yeah.
see. So if you're in, so that's 0.3 millimolar, I think, or higher.
Yeah, so 0.3 millimolar per liter is like the bare minimum you need to be at with your ketones to be in mild nutritional ketosis. 0.5 millimolar per liter means you're officially definitely in ketosis. Researchers aren't going to argue with you about that. Almost everybody agrees that 0.5 you're in ketosis. Higher, like 0.8 is really where we see phenomenal results, especially with mental health and binge eating and just literally curing food addiction. Even if you're still having sweet
Good.
treats here and there, but you won't have the binge eating, you won't have the addiction as 0.8 or higher of uninterrupted ketosis.
And that's good. One day this past week, since everybody, I've been actually tracking since this last video. So that's a big thing for me. But it's helped me it's helped me hit my macros easily. And you're right. I don't have the want to grab unnecessary sweet things at the end of the night since I have been in ketosis. I got to zero point 0.7 one day,
Mm,
and zero point 0.5 a couple of days. Mostly it's been 0.3. I've noticed it's 0.3 when I have a leaner day, a leaner fat day. For
right.
me so far, that's what I've noticed.
You can
So
still have
I'll
those.
play around.
Yeah. So if you wanna do a day where you're doing leaner meats, just at least incorporate some fasts. So eat your leaner meats in a shorter feeding period. That will allow you to maintain a deeper state of ketosis around that feeding period.
Yeah, so I mean, and I like sorry. I did sardine fast for 2 days, and then I based on what you recommended, I did a fat fast a couple of days.
Mm,
Um, and I really like doing the fat fasts. I really do. So, I
that's
mean,
a game
hopefully one
changer.
day it is people.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not deviating from the question, you guys, because um, staying in ketosis, at least in my experience, keeps me at my target macros so easily. It really does. One of these days, I'll be like Sarah and do like one meal a day and then eventually past a 24-hour fast, but we'll baby steps.
Yeah, I think the fat fasting can get you there easily because it allows you to experience those deeper states of uninterrupted ketosis. And the more days you can have those, the easier it's going to be to keep pushing that first meal further and further. And then you have a 24-hour day fast. And then after that, you can do 36-hour day fast. And then you can do, I think the maximum I've done that I've shared was what, 45 hours, right? A 45-hour
Oh,
fast.
you did a 45? I thought it was
Mm.
28 was the longest you
No,
did. I
45.
missed it.
Yeah, yeah. That was like 2 weeks ago. I did it once.
Oh, maybe I did
Yeah,
notice. I don't remember. Okay, so wow,
yeah,
that's so,
yeah.
see,
I
that's
wish
a
I had
goal.
some pickle
Okay.
juice to show you. That's my lifesaver when I'm doing those kind of long
Oh
fasts.
yeah, the electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. Oh, I'll save my pickle juice when we're done with pickles. That's a good idea.
Yes.
No, but see, that's cool. And I mean, and then it's like, I don't know, for people out there who like Sarah and I who are have had history of binge eating, this I think is like such a way to go. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to speak too soon, but
With the fat fasting or
fat fasting and fasting period.
yeah. Yeah,
Like both, all of it, all the above. Yeah, you have to, it's a slow process. I'm not saying, hey, jump into this tomorrow because I'm not even there yet. But
yeah.
slowly getting into it is interesting.
Yeah, I think the step that I would recommend to start with is testing your ketones because you need motivation to push
Yes,
the first meal, keep pushing it because as you start seeing how fasting will allow your ketones to build up so quickly, then you'll be like, "Oh, I wonder how much higher they can go." That can be motivating. It's like
it
gamifying
is.
it a little bit, you
It
know?
is. It's
And
a
then
game.
yeah, and the more you do that, you start correlating that with your mental health. It's like, wow, I'm laser focused, I'm productive, my memory is better. Like for me, the biggest reason I'm doing it, I feel like I didn't even realize that I had this lingering low-grade anxiety. I thought I don't have anxiety anymore. I'm great. And then and then it went to a higher level of like feeling amazing. It's like, wow, there's levels to this. And I realized I did have some low grade lingering anxiety that I did not even realize was there, you know? And that it's just the ketosis, uninterrupted, deep ketosis, completely eliminated that for me.
That's fascinating. And I'm
Mm,
interested in it because it's allowed me to adhere to my macros. Because I kind of fell off the wagon, being sick so much, in the past couple months. I didn't realize how that derailed me.
yeah,
And then, with my new job, navigating that.
yeah.
So, like 6 pounds, in a week
Oh, so
I've
there's
lost.
six now. The last time we spoke
Yeah,
was yesterday. I think you were like
it
at
was
five,
5.
so now
Yeah,
it's six. Yeah. The way just
dropped
it
another
literally
pound.
it's amazing. I just got off the phone with a client of mine. She just started working with me, 10 pounds. 10 pounds in like 7 or 8 days. Just
Wow.
because
And
keto. Yeah.
it's ketosis
Plus
and
calories.
it's
Very important.
yes, people don't just eat gobs of fat and try to
No.
get in ketosis. No, I'm trying to stay zero point 0.3 and higher, ideally zero point 0.5 and higher, but it is eating this way helps me stay on track and not go over my macros, my calories. That's like the bottom line there,
Yeah.
but also clarity I think I need
Yeah.
as well. And so I
And
really think
had you had some carbs in that process, even if you had counted your calories, you probably would have dropped maybe 3 pounds, in my experience. You see?
I agree because even before I came into, oh, I was with Dr. Atkins like in my 20s and I found success. I just didn't have the know-how to keep it going, whatever. But so I've been exposed to this area for a long time, but hardcore in the last like I would say 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, so I say that to say this is that I agree with you 100% because I have not my calories, my carbs have been 20 grams total or less. I've had some days where it's gone above, but it's that or less. And
Yeah.
I think that does because I have always been someone who I used to call myself a water buffalo. When I would compete, I was like, oh my gosh, I was the girl who retained water. So they had to deplete me
Mm,
and just because I just retain water. Like it's my job. So eating this way naturally takes that excess off. But now after the first few, I think I've lost those real pounds starting,
Yes.
after the first
Yeah.
few pounds, now it's real pounds.
Yeah.
But I retain water so bad. So that's why this lifestyle is really good for me too.
Yeah. And then you seeing the scale when you see you're losing weight at twice the rate, even though the calories are still, you're still in a caloric deficit, you're tracking,
Uh,
you're doing everything right. But just the fact that you're testing your ketones, you're making sure you're in ketosis, it is doubling the speed of weight loss. That's momentum. That's going to give you so much motivation to keep working hard, like just as hard.
it is.
And you'll bounce back faster if you're having an off day because the general momentum you've accumulated is high. So it
Yes.
really helps with the mental aspect of it, really.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And for me, being a little competitive, I like it too. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh, what am I this morning? Or and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's exciting. So I like it. So I
Yeah.
mean, so yes, to that lady who was upset, you're right. It's the calories. It's,
Yes.
what are you putting in your mouth
Yes.
and how active are you?
Yes.
You know,
And the weight loss
quality of
is going to reverse insulin resistance the most. There's a paper that I was using in some of my guides where I was researching it, and it was like a major review of all of the studies done on this topic. And the number one strongest predictor of reversing insulin resistance was not the amount of carbs those people ate, it was the weight loss.
the big rocks, people focus on the big things. Are you at your ideal weight? Are you managing stress and exercising? Because exercising, those two things to me to go together.
Yes,
Managing stress and exercising are like this.
yes.
Are you sleeping? But yeah, it's are you at your ideal body weight? That's what you got to get to.
Exactly. Focus on the weight loss. I do think it's a lot easier when you're in ketosis because of that momentum and the mental health aspect. And but the weight loss is really what's going to reverse your insulin resistance way more quickly than trying to focus on not eating carbs, but we're not tracking. We don't care. We're just gonna eat all the meat, all the butter, or whatever, and then you're still overweight, you still have insulin resistance, So I, it's so easy these days. You have access to all this free information, you know,
I know.
right? I mean, we're giving you everything. So
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
it's
We are.
yeah.
We are.
I don't know why people will stick to that and will be like, I refuse to track. I'll just gonna eat all, whatever. And then it doesn't feel good when you can't eat anything else. You feel like, oh my gosh, I just can't eat meat. And at the same time, you're not getting the rewards of it. Like, at least if you're gonna be this strict, at least get the rewards of losing the weight and getting in shape and feeling better about yourself, and all it takes is
Yeah.
literally install MyFitnessPal, just write the foods that you're eating, I
Right. Get a food scale.
get a food scale, literally $8 off of Amazon, and just write down, did I work out for 1 hour, for half an hour? Like just write that down and your daily fastest scale
Yeah.
with three things. Sure, is it going to be a little bit uncomfortable for the first 3 days you do it? Of course, but without stress there's no growth. The only way you
Yeah.
grow is when you get a little bit outside your comfort zone, and then you adapt to it, and there's zero stress associated with those habits. I don't have an existential crisis every time I want to log in a food, or it's like brushing my teeth. It doesn't, I sometimes, did I weigh myself today? And then I realized, oh yeah, I did. I logged it. You don't even,
Yeah.
you're no longer paying attention to it because it's that easy now. It's a habit.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what someone asked me this morning, is, well, how many calories should I be eating to lose weight? And honestly, I told her, I was like, listen, I can't tell you that. I can tell you how much protein. Protein is a number that I can tell people. Like, okay, how tall are you?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Male, female, got it. All right, you should have this,
Yeah.
right? Basically what you just said earlier.
Yeah.
But as far as calories, I can give a roundabout, but I was like, honestly, you need to have a baseline. 2 weeks, figure out what you're doing in the first place, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
If
Even
you're
one
only
week.
eating,
1 week is enough
yeah,
even.
or
Yeah.
1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah, even 1 week. And but I did tell her, I was like, 'cause she has a history of dieting. So I did say, I was like, if your average is about 1,500 calories and you got 50 plus pounds to lose, you might want to reverse diet first before
Right.
even trying to lose weight.
Right. Either that, either reverse diet to speed up your metabolism, then go on a weight loss diet, or enter ketosis, then your metabolism will quickly speed up. You don't even have to reverse diet, you know?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about it like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Yeah.
even think about it like that
Yeah.
because the ketosis works as a protectant, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Because the longer you are on ketosis, the faster your metabolism gets, because the more keto adapted you get, the body starts to get better and better at realizing how much extra calories you have stored. So over time, your basal or baseline metabolism starts speeding up just because you're becoming more keto adapted. So there's no need to reverse diet anymore.
I see. Okay, so that part, it's not new to me because you've mentioned it before and you've sent me some studies on that. But it's just, something that I don't readily remember right away. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
because we've
That's
talked so
good
much
stuff.
about reverse dieting, I feel, because I was
I
writing the
know.
guide, Superbreed Metabolism, and you can check out the Superbreed Metabolism guide, and it tells you how to reverse diet. Even if you're in ketosis, some people can still benefit from that. You might just want to speed it up even more. You can do that
Yeah,
using the principles of reverse dieting. I just feel like um, ketosis is a lot faster, uninterrupted
yeah.
deep ketosis. I think it's important to make that distinction because there is a difference between having ketones being mildly in ketosis, 0.3, versus hitting 2.8 millimolar per liter. Like that,
And that's what you're getting fasting, huh?
yeah, yeah, I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. It happened,
that's so
we were talking the other day, it just happened organically because I don't have time to eat. So it's like I'm just eating one meal a day and I'm testing my ketones and my ketones are really high. I start noticing it's like, I kind of like it. And wow, I feel like my brain is even better this way. So why not just keep at it? So what I'm doing is I'm doing one day of fat fast and then another day, and it's always OMAD. And it's like fat fasting OMAD, and then carnivore one meal OMAD. Sometimes I'll add in a protein shake to make sure I'm hitting all my protein. And then a fat
right.
fasting day. Because what I notice if I do two fat fasting days, see the fat fasting is super great for me because I can eat it and I don't have to like digest
Yes,
it. I can get back to work and work on my treadmill and move as opposed to like if I'm eating protein, I don't
yes.
want to be like moving too much. I just want to kind of sit for an hour or two working before I get back to movement. So I like the fat fasting because like it keeps me in motion and I feel I'm much more creative. Like when I write songs, when I write guides, when I do research, when I'm in motion, I feel like my brain is even better. So I prefer that. So what I
Yes.
notice is that if I do two fat fasting days in a row, by the second day, my brain needs protein. It's like
Yeah.
you haven't had a good enough protein in like 2 days. Like my mood starts like, ooh, and then if I'm not being productive, then what's the point, you know?
Yeah, because that's where today I'm doing more of a fat fast because yesterday, and the day before,
Mm,
I was higher protein. I was like just basically carnivore.
yeah.
And my macros I'm used to having where I was higher protein, fat. Like my protein was like 150, my fat was like 110,
Mm,
and I had like 17 carbs or something. So it was like what am more used to.
yeah.
But the fat fasts are my protein's lower,
Yeah.
fat's way higher. And
Yeah. And
yeah,
your ketones will go out of control on a fat fasting day. That's why you really speed up the keto adaptation process.
yeah. So I want to continue playing around with that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to get to one meal a day. That's my
One
first goal.
millimolar. It'll happen with
One meal a day. Yeah.
or even two meal. Yeah, one meal a day is probably the fastest way. You do OMAD plus fat fasting. That's how you're gonna shoot your ketones really high. And just make sure you're not doing artificial sweeteners throughout the day. Are you drinking electrolytes with artificial sweeteners? That's gonna keep you from hitting those high numbers.
I know. That's why I have my sparkling water right here
Mm,
because I'm like definitely trying to or deviating from that. But
yeah.
yeah, because my thing is, and maybe people out there listening, I'm I'm a child when it comes to drinking plain water. So I that's why I put electrolytes in there because I'm just like, I don't want to.
I don't like water. Yeah.
So, I'm like, yeah. So, but I can always add salt to, if I'm worried about not getting enough
Right.
this or that. So,
Get some,
yeah.
again, pickle juice. I'm obsessed. I love it.
That's a good idea.
It really
That's
is. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Pickle juice.
they get the ones that not like any pickle juice because a lot of pickle juice brands will add sugar to them. So it's not like if
Yeah.
you have a pickle jar in the house, don't use that. It most likely has some sugar added to it. Get the
Okay.
ones that I know that Walmart has them. I'm sure other people sell them as well, but they're like
Uh-huh.
in shots. They sell them as individual shots and it says like no sugar and you read the ingredients, it's just pickle juice and no added sugar.
No way.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, there
Yeah.
you go. I learned something new today.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're a little pricey. It's like a tiny shot that has 470 milligrams of sodium is like $1.63 if I remember correctly. So it's a little
Okay.
on the pricier side. You might not need though too much later on because as your body keto adapts more and more, I've noticed the more fasting I do, the less I feel the need to supplement with electrolytes. Like your body gets the message,
Mhm.
insulin is almost non-existent, very, very low. So it starts to retain those electrolytes at a higher and higher degree, so you won't feel the need to keep supplementing. But it can be a lifesaver if you just started ketosis, like a keto diet or a carnivore diet or intermittent fasting or a fat fasting day. In the initial
Yeah.
stages of getting really keto adapted, like at a very deep
Mhm.
state, in the initial stages, it can be a lifesaver because then you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to feel a little lethargic because of that, you know? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. I wanted to mention the hormone aspect also of the comment that was given to us.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling part,
Oh my
when you
gosh.
hold on to those extra fat cells because you refuse to track, right? And you're like, I'm just gonna do carnivore and I don't want to track, right? The dreaded C word. I did not realize how much of a stigma there is around that, but I guess that's what they're promoting, and that's why people are kind of, falling into that trap where it's like we don't track and tracking is this horrible thing. So the more you don't track, the less likely you are going to lose weight, or if you are going to lose weight, it's going to be so slow that you won't generate momentum. So you're literally like one stressful day away from a binge and getting off track.
Mhm.
The more you hold on to your fatty tissues on you, fat cells don't just sit there idly, not doing anything. They're actively secreting hormones and inflammation into your body. So you're constantly in this
Mhm.
estrogen dominant state. The more fat cells you have on you, the more estrogen you're releasing. That's going to affect your skin, pigmentation disorders, breast cancer, ovarian cancer,
Yeah.
mood mood imbalances where you're in a very vulnerable state to go back and have cravings and binge eat or eat, off
Yeah.
plan. All of these is because you're maintaining extra fat cells on your frame and all this estrogen is being pumped out. Not to mention all
Mhm.
the inflammatory molecules that our fat cells are constantly releasing into our bloodstream that are going to interfere with the proper physiological function of every physiological function in your body. So, whichever way you look at it, you do not want to hold on to it for any extra day. Don't, and it's not going to just fall off. I can guarantee you that. I've worked with
No.
tons and tons of people, hundreds of clients. We've been through this
Mhm.
over and over again. The weight does not just fall off, especially if you come from a background with binge eating, with food addiction, with yo yo dieting
Yeah.
the cues aren't there. That happens, it's an advanced stage. If you want to hit that later on, we can get there. But first, lose the weight, track, get there,
Yeah.
raise your baseline dopamine levels, and then maybe also a short reverse dieting phase to speed up the metabolism even faster. And then we can potentially achieve this intuitive eating, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. Because people don't realize that the fat on their body is toxic. The excess, I should say,
Yeah. Yeah.
can be that way. And yeah, we don't want to be estrogen dominant at all.
Nope. There is no need to stay in that state for any extra day when it's so easy to do it the other way. So much, and you're just
Hmm.
more excited when you start seeing those scale dropping. I mean, you've lost 6 pounds in 1 week.
Hmm.
Just,
Yeah.
just because you're
Yeah.
tracking you, so you're in a caloric deficit and you've added in the element of ketosis to make sure that
Yes.
you're doubling your speed. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
And I'm excited to continue going. I want 10 more. So
yes. I think
That's
talk about
cool.
the fat fasting thing and incorporating that,
Yes.
and that's going to really
Yeah.
speed up. On a fat fasting day, you lose the most weight,
Yeah.
more so,
Isn't that funny? Oh wow, that's so funny. It's so different. Yeah, it's been yeah. So
Yeah.
hey, you
I
always have to be open to new things, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything, all the other methods work as well. It's just slower, you
Yes.
know? That's the
Yes.
only thing. But when it's slower, you don't have as much momentum, so you're more vulnerable to cravings. You're more vulnerable to a very stressful day or week at work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is the
Exactly.
cycle. So anyway,
Yep,
cool.
yep, yep.
I think we addressed that comment. Don't worry so much about the macros. I feel like macros is another way to avoid tracking calories. It just blows my mind. And why is it so difficult to track calories?
I don't know why there's such a pushback. Because it's only in this keto carnivore space have I ever heard like calories being, and maybe it's because people come to keto carnivore um to escape that obsessive compulsive behavior
Mm,
that they themselves developed.
yeah,
And so they're just associating a simple act as counting calories with that OCD they had. But that's another issue.
yeah.
Don't blame calories for your other issue.
Right, right. And it's okay. Like, just use all the previous failures as learning experiences. Take away what didn't work. And it's like you have to fail forward. You know, the loftier your goals you want to set for yourself, it means you want to bring upon yourself more potential failures. And that those are learning lessons, you know? Like
Yeah,
the most successful people in the world are the ones that have failed the most. The reason they got successful is because they kept trying and trying and they persisted. And that's why they accumulated the most amount of failures. But those failures,
yep,
they don't look at them as failures. Those are learning and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning experiences until eventually
exactly.
you hit that tipping point where now the whole world realizes you made it. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh, overnight success. It's like, no, they failed 99% of the time. But then finally, that last tweak they did, finally, everything else was in place and they kept fixing it. With every failure, they fixed one more thing. Another failure fixed another thing. And then finally, that
right.
last piece of the puzzle fit in and now they made it. You see?
And
So
now it's working.
yeah, it's not the counting calories that wasn't working. It's the other things that you weren't doing, you know? You weren't waking up on
Uh-huh.
time. You weren't going to sleep on time. You weren't setting boundaries. You had limiting beliefs. You weren't pushing past the limiting beliefs. You were a people pleaser. Like all
Yeah,
those things. You want to fix
all
one
of
after the
those.
other, after the other, after the other, and then finally all the pieces of the puzzle are going to fit in and you're finally going to be like, I finally got it.
Like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
anyway, Ayana,
So true.
yeah. Thank you again, Ayana, for ranting with me, always being up for rant after rant.
Yes.
Where can people find you and work with you and connect with
Hmm.
you?
Yes. Okay. So, at Pilar Fit Vegas on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm going to post today, even if it's not the most perfect thing. I just kind of want to be like a, where have I been? It will be
Yeah.
my first episode, and then I'll go into other stuff later. And then at Pilar Fit LV on TikTok.
Yes, awesome. I'll make sure also our socials are showing up and they're right below this YouTube video so people can click and follow you right away. Also, if you still have not signed up to my newsletter, the link to sign up to my newsletter is in the description box below. If you sign up within 24 hours of this video going live, I will send you a free copy of my 30-day carnivore challenge diet guide. I'll send you the guide within it's also 24 hours. And for more information on how to raise your baseline dopamine levels, check out my guide, Dopamine Brain. For the reverse dieting guide, if you're interested in learning how to speed up your metabolism, I have a guide called SUPERBREED Metabolism. And I think those are all great. I think, though, the mindset is even more powerful. So, monster mindset is really where the magic happens that would allow you to follow the plans, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all
Mindset.
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 It's
Yeah, it
all
is.
mindset. If people only knew, it's like 99% of the answer, you know?
So true.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
So
Thank you,
true.
everybody. Thank you, Ayana, again.
Thank
If
you.
you enjoyed this kind of content, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.